Hello friends, this is Nitin Kulkarni. In the last video, we looked at our toolset, end goal, and laid down the blueprint for our project. In this video, we are finally starting the construction. We lay the first brick down by downloading Eclipse, configuring it, and getting it ready for our DevOps journey. Alright, the very first step is going to be to download the Eclipse Enterprise Edition 2019. Search for it in Google, click on the very first link present over here. Depending upon the operating system that you have, download the appropriate IDE. In my case, I have downloaded Windows 64-bit as I have Windows 10 64-bit on my machine. I have already done the download. The folder is present in my downloads folder, which is found here. If I scroll down, you will see the zip folder over here. All I have to now do is I have to open this zip folder using some kind of application such as 7-zip or WinZip. Open the archive and then extract the archive to whichever folder I want it to be installed in. So I'm going to go to Nitin DevOps course, and that's where I want to download my Eclipse. Let's give it a second or two. It should be done pretty quickly, and I should have then Eclipse ready for usage. All right, the extraction is done. I can go to my Nitin Enterprise Edition folder. And here is where I see my Eclipse installed. I will click on the Eclipse exe. That will start my IDE, which will open in a few seconds. It's asking me for the workspace, so I'm going to again go back to C colon. You can pick any folder that you like, but in my case, I'm going to just go pick DevOps course. And this is going to be my workspace. So I'm going to click launch. And once I click launch, it should open the welcome page that Eclipse has. All right, fantastic. The Eclipse IDE is now open. Feel free to go through any of these links if you want to. I'm going to click on the workbench to take me to my workspace. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this existing project just so that I can show you how to create a new project. So in your case, most probably you're going to find when you open the Eclipse IDE, you're going to find these links present in the Project Explorer. And since we want to create a Maven project, I'm going to click on Create a Maven project link here. It will come up with a small wizard. I'm not going to check the create a simple project because I do not want a simple archetype to be my default project. I want the web app to be my default project. So I'm going to keep it unchecked. I'm going to click next. And here is where I'm going to, since I want to create a web application, I'm going to search for web and I'm going to create or select the Maven archetype of web app and then click next. It's going to ask me a group ID, which let's say I will call it let's call it DevOps course, and I'm going to call it my dev pipeline. Okay. The package type is going to be WAR. Since this is a web application, the package type needs to be a WAR file. So I'm going to click finish, and it should create a default structure in the Project Explorer here. If I expand the project, my project over here, you'll see several folders, but some of the critical folders are the Java resources folder. This is where your source code as well as your libraries will reside. And within libraries, you have Maven dependencies and the Java J2E dependencies. As you can see here, the by default it is saying J2 AC 1.5, but you can change it to whichever version that you want. In my case, we are most probably going to use J2 AC 1.8. This is the folder where you will have your Java resources. In the deployed resources, there is this web app section or web app folder which has this default index.jsp page, which is a very bare bones JSP page, and we're going to make it slightly better than how it is here. And then I have the pom.xml file, which is the heart of our Maven project, and we're going to update the pom.xml file also. You must have noticed that there is this red cross against index.jsp, and even at the project level, which means there is some problem with the project. So let's fix that problem first. If you go to the markers tab in the bottom portion of your IDE, expand on this, and you will see that the message is saying the superclass JavaX servlet HTTP servlet was not found in the Java build path. What this means is it is looking for the HTTP servlet class, and it was not able to find it. So the easiest way to resolve this problem is to put the dependency in the pom.xml file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the pom.xml, which in this case is already open, and I'm going to paste this XML snippet over there, which is declaring or which is telling my Maven project that for my project to work, I need the javax.servlet API. As soon as I save this change, let me first format it so that it looks better. Um, all right, so now I'm going to save this, and as soon as I save this, the red check mark, sorry, cross will disappear, and keep an eye on the Maven dependencies folder. You will see a change there too. So I'm going to save this, and you must have noticed that the red error mark has now disappeared, and the JavaX Servlet API jar got downloaded. So that's how Maven works. I'm sure you are familiar with how Maven works. It downloaded the JavaX Servlet API in my local repository. Now, as we discussed in the very beginning, we are also going to use Selenium and TestNG as our testing frameworks for our project. So we need to declare the dependencies on those frameworks also. So I'm going to basically go to you can there is another way. How do I know which jar to use for my Selenium? So what you can do is it's a simple Google search. You can say Maven Selenium dependency, and uh, click on here maybe, and what you will see here is that there are a lot of sections here, but I need the Selenium Java. So I'm going to just copy this code from here, go to my Eclipse IDE, and paste the dependency over here. I'm going to save it, and again you will see a lot of jar files downloaded in the Maven dependency section. So a lot of jar files got downloaded, which is telling me that these jars are now available in my class path to be loaded. Same thing I'm going to do for TestNG. I'm going to go look for Maven dependency, Maven test ng dependency. Sorry. Test ng dependency, and again if I click here, you should see the XML snippet over here. So I'm going to just take this snippet over here, copy it, go back to my IDE, and paste it over here. Again, I'll just format it so that it looks better, and save it, and it should download a few more jar files. Okay, so it downloaded these 4 jar files because I declared the test ng dependency. So that is as far as my pom.xml is concerned. I have declared my dependency on the servlet API because my JSP needs it. I have also declared dependency on Selenium HQ and Selenium as well as testng, and my all those corresponding jars are now downloaded um, in my Maven local Maven repository. Now, there is one more thing that we have to do is we have to also specify what version of Java I want to use to compile my code. And in my case, I want to specify the Java 1.8. So I'm going to declare the I'm going to create a plugin that tells me what compiler Maven should be using to to compile my code. So if I go to my the other thing is I'm also have to declare the plugin that is for Selenium. So I'm going to have to declare two plugins here. One is the plugin for using Selenium as my test framework, as well as I'll specify that I want to use Java 1.8 as my um, GRE for my compilation. All right, so it's very simple. So I'm going to go into the build section of my pom.xml and paste this code over here. So what I've done here is I've specified that I want to use the Maven Surefire plugin, which is nothing but uh, the Selenium plugin. We will not worry about this configuration right now. I'm basically going to delete it for now. So I've declared the Maven plugin, and I also here I have declared the Maven compiler plugin and telling it that I want to use the Java 1.8 for my compilation purposes. Again, let me format this. So now my code, my pom.xml is fully ready to, to go. Okay, for those of you who are familiar with Maven, you must be already asking the question, where am I going to write my source code and my test cases or test classes? Generally, the Maven is something that is dependent on convention rather than configuration, and therefore the convention that is followed is that I should write my Java code, project code in the src main Java folder, and my test under src test Java folder. But as you can see here, these folders are not present, and that is a limitation of the archetype that we have selected. I have come to find out that these folders are not created by default. I do not know what the reason is, but they are not created. So I'm going to have to create this manually. So let's go to our workspace and create these folders manually. So this is my workspace. As you can see here, I have src, main, resources, and web app, but I don't have Java. So I'm going to create a Java folder here, src main Java. That's where my project source code will reside, and then src test, and within test Java. This is where my test classes will reside. Now, if I go back to my project and refresh the project, you should see both the folders here, src main Java, src test Java. There is still this red cross mark. Let's see, something is wrong with the Maven. This is a very simple fix. All you have to do is you have to go to right click on the project, go to Maven, and do object update project, select your project, and click OK. All right, so that took care of that problem over there. So we were talking about the src main Java and src test Java. So that is where my test classes and um, my source code for my project will reside. So my as far as my uh, setup for Eclipse is concerned, we are pretty much done. We just have to do two additional steps. We have to take two additional steps to complete this. The first of which is I want to download the TestNG plugin. So Eclipse is a plugin based IDE, and it helps you perform a lot of activities using plugins. So Eclipse does have a plugin for TestNG. So to get to that, to download that TestNG plugin, I have to go to Help, install new software, and here start typing http .com/eclipse. So this is test ng add. Now it's looking for the testng plugin. Okay, it gave me an error saying that it was not able to find the BUEST. Actually, I made a typo. It should be BEUST. And let's try that again. Okay, so this time it found it. So I'm going to select the entire package, click next. It's calculating all the requirements and dependencies, and I'm going to just click through this. I'm going to accept the license terms and agreements and click finish. So it will take probably a few seconds for it to install. Of course, I want to install it anyway. I'm going to let it install. It should get installed in a few seconds. It's going to ask me if I want to restart Eclipse IDE. Yes, I want to. So it's going to shut Eclipse down, and it's going to restart it one more time with my TestNG plugin configured. Okay, it restarted. I'm back into my project. And how do we know that the TestNG plugin was successfully installed? I have to right click on my project, go to build path, configure build path, and you should see TestNG here. If you see TestNG here, that means your TestNG plugin was properly installed. So nothing to change here, just click cancel. And now, as the final setup step in my IDE, I'm going to integrate Eclipse IDE with Git. How we want to use TestNG, how we want to create our test suite files, all of that will cover in one of the subsequent sessions. But for now, I'm going to go to Help, go to Eclipse Marketplace, and type e-git in the find folder. So I'm going to e-git, click go. So you see here the eGit integration plugin is shown as a part of your search result. For my case, it is already installed. In your case, you will have an install button on your right hand side here. So I'm not going to worry about installing it because I have already done that. So that's how you download the plugin for the Git integration for Eclipse. Now, how do I make my project Git enabled? So what we have to do is we have to go to project, we have to go to team, and then I'm going to click on share project. Here, I'm going to select the use or create repository in the parent folder of the project. I'm going to select my current project as the parent folder and then click create repository and click finish. Once that is done, you should see my team menu option expanded, and it has a lot many possibilities here than just share project or apply patch. So you will see here commit and generally a merge and all of these git commands present over here. So we have downloaded, what we have done so far is we have downloaded the git plugin, but we have not told Eclipse where exactly or which repository Git should be configured to, or which repository should my code go into once I want to commit the code. So that's what we will do. That's what we will do next. So before I do that though, I have to first create a repository in the GitHub. So that's what. Let's do that. It's a very simple step. So I'm going to go to GitHub. And if you don't have an account with GitHub, create one. So in my case, I'm going to log out of my current Git, and you should see a sign up for GitHub option present in your case, just in case you don't have an account. So you go ahead and finish this step and create a Git account for yourself. In my case, I already have it, so I'm going to just sign in. And once I sign in, it's going to take me to my existing repositories that I might have. And here is where I can select or create a new repository. So I'm going to create a new repository here. So let's call it my first DevOps pipeline. Okay, let's call that. Let's keep it public. Everything else will remain the same. I'm going to create, click the create repository button now, and it created a repository for me. So by default, there will be nothing in the repository. So, but what is important is this link over here. So this is your HTTPS link to your repository. So I'm going to take that link, copy that link rather, and go back to my Eclipse. Now, here in Eclipse, I'm going to go to team and I'm going to do a commit. So what it is telling me is this top portion is telling me that my entire project is currently unstaged because I never put anything in Git before this. So obviously there is nothing in the Git as far as this project is concerned. So all of my entire project is listed over here. All the contents of my project are listed over here, and they are all unstaged. So I'm going to select either I can select all of them and click add, or I can just click these icon with two addition symbols there, and then they are going to move it to the staged change section. Now here is after this I'm ready to commit, but I need to put in some kind of a commit message, my first commit, and then I'm to click commit and push. Okay, so here is now it is asking me for my it has figured out that I have created a Git repository for my project. In case it is not populated, you just have to paste the code or the URL that we copied from the Git location. You specify your user ID and your password. Make sure that you click the store in secure store option over here and then click next. Click next and push the code into the Git repository. So it has pushed the code successfully to my first DevOps pipeline.git repository. Let's see if it is really there. So if I refresh this GitHub now, I'm seeing all of my code here. I'm seeing my pom.xml where I added the servlet API, the Selenium dependency, the Maven compiler plugin, Surefire plugin. All of these things are seen over here. At the same time, I am also seeing my web app folder, my index.jsp, which is my bare bones JSP, and I'm also seeing my I'm okay. I'm not seeing my SRC main Java and SRC main test because they are currently empty. So there is nothing to be checked in, and that's why there is. I think that's the reason why it has not bothered to push those files or those folders into my repository. So let's create one just to show you that it will. I'm able to create. Let's create this test class. This is going to be just a sample class. I'm going to have this public static void main, just finish it. And you should see the test class created over here. And I'm going to push this class. Okay, I forgot to mention the package, so that's not a good thing. So let's so I'm going to move the test class to package this package which I just created. So now my code is in the right package. Okay, I forgot the semicolon here. So once I put the semicolon, I save it, and now my class is ready for check-in. I'm going to go to select this class, go to team, go to commit, add the class to my staging area, and then say my first test class, and then click commit and push again. This time it should just push it to the right repository because we have done the configuration in the first commit. So again, let's go back to our repository, refresh it, and now you should see your class here, the one that you just created, src test java. So it's already there, the test class.java. There is nothing in that right now, but we'll fix this later. All right, so let's do a recap of what we have done so far. We have downloaded Eclipse. We have created the archetype of web app, and then we created the src test java and src main java folders manually because the archetype does not come with those folders. So that's what we did. We also opened up our pom.xml and added these dependencies over there, and then also specified the surefire plugin and the maven compiler plugin, and specified the target Java version that I want to use for my compilation. Uh, I also downloaded the testng plugin so that I can run my testng uh, test cases successfully. So if I go to my configure build path, I should see testng here, and that tells me that my testng was successfully deployed. What I did next was I also installed Git plugin, and again the fact that Git is present over here in my build paths tells me that my Git was successfully installed. And then we created some dummy classes and we pushed our code to the repository. But before we did that, we also went to GitHub and created a repository, created an account first if it did not exist. And once we log in, I created my first DevOps pipeline repository, and then pushed my code from Eclipse by clicking on Maven team commit. So now we are ready to take the next step. I know that we still have not specified anything around test cases, what test cases, how to write them, why we downloaded the testng framework, all of that, but that is something for the later session. But as of now, our Maven project is now ready, and we should be able to take this project, make it better, make it more useful than how it is right now in terms of the code, and then use Jenkins to build our pipeline. That is for my next session that you will see. In the next section, we will talk about going to AWS and creating those 5 CentOS instances that we talked about. Until then, goodbye, and thank you for watching this video. Hope to see you for my next video. Thank you.